This construction zone behind me is the place where, thanks to the actions of Christy Clark's BC Liberal government, this neighborhood was turned into one of the most dangerous and violent places in Victoria. What's worse is that Ms. Clark, members of her cabinet, and some of the most senior members of her government knew this would happen, yet for some bizarre and unknown reason, they deliberately allowed it to happen. As a result, this neighborhood was terrorized for more than 9 months. Homeless people, the hardest to house, or people just not wanting to live in normal housing, have been camping overnight in and around Victoria for years. By law, any campers have to pack up their tents by morning. However, in the fall of 2015, some campers didn't leave, and this got noticed by many neighbors, who immediately complained to the authorities who own this patch of parkland, the BC government, and officially the courts of BC. The security guards at the courthouse were so frustrated by the barrage of residents complaining, and their hands were tied by the senior BC government bureaucrats who wouldn't stop the tenting, that they literally wrote the names and phone numbers of the Assistant Deputy Minister of Justice and the Executive Director of Court Services. The guards said there was nothing they could do, so please call these government officials. In fact, I actually have one of the post-it notes that a neighbor actually gave to me. He called both of these people, telling them this will lead to nothing but trouble, but was told that they were not moving the campers, and in fact said, where are they going to go? Here's one of the most amazing things about this. It is the province of BC who is in charge of housing for its citizens. Since being elected in 2001, the BC Liberals have made it an art and a science out of gutting all government social programs, including housing. This government deliberately does nothing to help the most vulnerable to get the simplest of accommodations, so that they are in fact the very reason that one of their senior government bureaucrats had the gall to say, where are they going to go? The irony is so thick you can cut it with a knife. So instead of jumping to action to try to come up with reasonable solutions for the homeless, the addicted, and those with mental health issues, in other words, the hardest to house, and for the protection of the taxpayers of the neighborhood, their response was to allow a tent city to be created. And Christy Clark and her family's first government knew this would lead to all kinds of violence, intimidation, drug dealing, and thefts. Get this, right beside the YMCA, with all of the children and families who attended daily and less than a block away from an elementary school. So, how did Christy Clark's government know this would lead to horrible consequences? The very top of Victoria's police department told some of the most senior members of Ms. Clark's government this would lead to the very problems that took place. In high-level meetings with Christy Clark's government, Victoria's Deputy Police Chief, Stephen Ng, and other police officials said that they must move these campers. The government refused. As an alternative, the police said, if you are going to deliberately allow a tent city to take over this, then at the very least, you must create rules and protocols that take into consideration the safety of the campers and of the neighbors who live nearby. This can include spaces between fences or between tents, restricting access in and out, and no illegal activities going on in or around. In American cities, as close as even Seattle, the tragedy of tent cities can be reduced somewhat by these simple procedures. Christy Clark's government, including her housing minister, Rich Coleman, and the senior bureaucrats of the BC government thumbed their noses at the police and said an emphatic no. In fact, Housing Minister Rich Coleman is on record, reported throughout the media saying, quote, "We know how to run a camp," end quote. To find out what happened next, watch the next video. But it's not for the squeamish, believe me.